Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be looking at Ethereum, its valuations against Bitcoin, as well as the US dollar. Remember, if you do like this video and the other videos that I make on this channel, be sure to hit the like button down below and also consider subscribing. So, do you know my stance with Ethereum? When it was at the zero point zero 0.08 level, 0.078 level, I was really talking about how this is potentially a local top for Ethereum. I sold quite a bit of Ethereum at that point. Um, Obviously, we're recovering very, very well, but again, I'm quite skeptical for the at the very least for altcoins at the moment until Bitcoin is manages to get back above the 20-week moving average. And if on that chance Ethereum's still at 0.07, 0.08, then sure, I can start buying at that point. I'd feel a little bit more confident. Um, but we'll take it 1 week at a time. With that said, I want us to take a look at the Ether Bitcoin, and the Ether USD chart. Look at where we are, how well we're recovering. Look at the RSI. Maybe we could throw on the MACD. Try to throw on some indicators to try to get a sense of where we're at, and also using the 20-week moving average as well. Maybe not so much for the Ether Bitcoin chart, so I'll get rid of this actually, but more so for the Ether USD chart. So let's take a look. We're up almost 8% on the week. Last week it was fairly comparable, about 10% and 10.5%, and we're back at 0.072 levels that we were at. The week of May 10th, right? We're in the week of June, first week of June. Let's take it 1 week at a time. We didn't. I expected all coins to really struggle, but here we are. Recovering, and I would say that's on the back of Bitcoin, also recovering. Being a little bullish, getting closer to the 20-week moving average, and people with this move, I think, the hopes of a V-shaped recovery is still on the cards, right? Like the week isn't done. Like let's do it. But I think the longer it takes that we're below the 20-week moving average, the sooner people realize that a V-shaped recovery may not be the most likely scenario. I mean, it's possible, but it's not the most likely scenario. Um, Never in Bitcoin's history was it able to break. I mean, in a few instances, it wicks back up to the 20-week moving average, but never do we break it within like a week. When we broke it back down, there's always a vesting period where it takes some time to get back to it at the very least. So with that said, for that situation, I can see why like people are still bullish on altcoins, why altcoins are still recovering fairly well. Ether Bitcoin is one, Chainlink is another. It's recovering fairly well. Basic Attention Token is recovering. Any kind of Celsius has just been, totally disregarding the market and just on its own, doing its own thing. Cardano, same thing. Like there's a lot of altcoins that are recovering very well. Ether Bitcoin is. Ethereum's not, not any different. Um, Definitely taking the market sentiment of Bitcoin, seeing that it's recovering, and showing some bullishness. The question is how high like Ether Bitcoin will go to the point where Bitcoin is at the 20-week moving average, right? My contention is that Bitcoin will at some point get back to the 20-week moving average, at which point it most likely will get rejected. And then I want to see what will happen with Ethereum at that point. Is it a bigger drop? Is it a smaller drop? If it's a smaller drop, that's pretty bullish. But if the rejection off the 20-week happens before Ethereum kind of fully recovers, then obviously I would expect a larger drop and just a lower price evaluation for Ethereum. Um, for me, there is the theory that we could drop down as low as maybe around this level here at zero point 0.5, zero point 0.05, bringing in this resistance point, this support point, and you can argue this resistance point as well, as a level to sit for Ethereum. But it doesn't have to respect that. Let's take a look at the RSI. Here we're at an RSI of 69.51, coming off from a high of 83.31. We know that there's peaks in the RSI for Ether Bitcoin, and they're usually in the high 80s. Yeah, high 80s, maybe low 90s. No, not even low 90s. 89.71 was the highest. And so high 80s was to be expected. We're at 83, didn't quite hit that, but here we are retracing back down. We can't assume that the return on investment on a percentage basis for Ethereum against Bitcoin might be smaller or should be smaller, a smaller move than the previous cycles. And with that said, that the RSI might come down, a little smaller this time. What we are seeing is this kind of channel within the RSI. We see clear resistance points and then clear support points. We're somewhere in the middle at this point. We're right here. We're in the middle. So I expected that we'd come back down and maybe come back down to the 50, 50, 60 level and bounce our way back up in momentum. But we could have like a double peak like this and then come back down. There's a lot of things that can happen. I'm not going to be speculating on where, but I do know that obviously my Ethereum position's smaller now because of my cells, and I am now looking for a re-entry point at some point during this consolidation period. My bet is that we would get to a lower valuation when Bitcoin gets rejected off its 20-week the first time. So we haven't had a first test. I'm going to bet that the first test we're gonna bounce off of it, and if that's the case, Ethereum's gonna take a hit, and we will get to a lower valuation. Um, 0.05 might be a place where I'd consider reallocating some of my Ethereum, but we shall see. Let's move on to the USD charts, and we'll take a look at the RSI as well, and the price. So again, we are recovering, not quite to the levels that we were before. I mean, Ethereum did peak out at about $4,600. We're at $2,800. For us to get back to the prior all-time high for Ethereum, we need to rally about 69, 66% against the US dollar to even get to the prior all-time high. Good news is that we held the 20-week moving average. We know that the 20-week moving average does act as support in some instances. Even in the previous cycle, we've seen that happen before. So this is a good sign. People still have hope for Ethereum. My question is if we get another retracement from Bitcoin, will the 20-week moving average break? Right? It broke with Bitcoin. Will it break with other altcoins? And that we just don't have an answer yet. It all really depends on how high Ethereum's able to recover before the next drop from Bitcoin. And I would say that there could be another drop. Even it's from the 20-week moving average back to where we are today, like that will be a significant hit for Ethereum as well. Um, and it like you can't just isolate, like Ethereum's not in a bubble. Like it does get influenced by the market moves of Bitcoin. And so, with that said, we would have to keep a watchful eye on Bitcoin for the time being, um, to see how we can assess with Ethereum. Um, Obviously, this run was extremely impressive. And let's take a look at the RSI now. The RSI is a lot lower on the US dollar chart. We bottomed out at about 59.94. Sorry, we're at 59.594. We bottomed out at about 52.46. Um, and not so much of a trend for Ethereum at this point against the US dollar. So we're out of overbought territory, and we're back in neutral territory. No kind of trend whatsoever. I mean, you can see before this drop, you could see that this was the trend of just slowly moving our way up from the bottom of 2018 when we got back down to like $80. Can you remember that $80 Ethereum? Absolutely insane. But that's where we are with Ethereum right now, you guys. Um, Obviously, I'm not planning to make any moves at this point in time. I am more focused on Bitcoin. I mean, I allocated a lot of my capital and my portfolio into Bitcoin, so I am very Bitcoin heavy at the moment, and kind of just biding my time for a better reentry point because I feel like there will be one. If there isn't, then that's fine. I still have Ethereum still makes up the second largest portion of my portfolio. So in some ways, I still have a good chunk. But if we do get a reentry point that I like, then obviously that's going to be a bigger position. But that's all for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.